Hear Me See Me podcast is sponsored by Zenoti, the #1 cloud software for salons and spas. Because when people feel good, they find their greatness. I am Stuart Roberts, and I'm really excited to introduce my new podcast, Hear Me See Me. It's just over 5 years ago. I did something that changed my life. What it did, more than I could have ever realised, it helped me. I have met some absolutely amazing people. Some of the people that work in some of these places, many of them are volunteers, but some of them it is their job. I'd had this idea after being inspired by a guy in America I'd seen cutting hair on the streets and seeing the difference it made to the guys who were there. This is more than a job. This is a calling. Hello, this is Stuart from Hear Me See Me podcast. Today I've got a great guest with me. He made a real nuisance of himself, kept messaging me and telling me he wanted me to come down to his project in Knightsbridge, and I was so pleased when I did. Today I'm talking to Mr. Mark Harvey. How are you, sir?
Afternoon, Stuart. It's a wonderful day, mate. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too, boss. I think I forget. I know where I was. I was at a women's refuge in Tower Hamlets, and you messaged me and that, and then we had a quick. I phoned you back. I was waiting to go in this other place, and your enthusiasm brought me immediately. I thought I've got to go wherever he wants me to go. I'm going, and it was in Knightsbridge. Tell me about that. Where was it we went?
Yeah, the charity called Glassdoor, and they in previous years have been running the night shelters in West London.
Yeah.
And, they usually have 5 charities open every night in 5 different boroughs in West London: Chelsea, Hammersmith, Richmond, Kensington and Chelsea, and Acton. And they normally house 150 guys every night. And I go and I can't physically walk around. I've got a knackered back. But I go down and try and inject a little bit of madness into people's lives and have a laugh and a joke and try and keep it with people feeling positive. So it was, when I saw you, the effect that you have on people is just amazing. One of the worst things about being homeless is the psychological pressure that people get put under. And when people feel better, when you get a nice haircut, which is what you do, and you do a wonderful job here in the team, it makes people feel so much better, and that little bit of niceness in people's lives can make a hell of a difference. And I'm so glad that you come down.
Yeah, I was blown away because when the first night I went there, it's on a Friday night, and I got out at the station, and I walked past Harrods. I was in that part of town, and then I went down the side street, and then there I was in the midst of this area, and there was it's St Columba's Church in it, and then we went downstairs, and there had to be 80 people in there, and there was people, and they needed, they was getting food. It's a wonderful atmosphere in there as well, but it was such a contrast for the area we were in.
Yeah,
that's what hit me.
Knightsbridge, you walk outside, you see Rolls Royces, Bentleys, Lamborghinis, and the charities on the Friday. That's the Restart charity. That's they once a week. They used to be in the St Augustine's Church in Knightsbridge. But they relocated to St Columba's, the Scottish Church.
Yeah, Scottish, yes.
And it's a massive hall.
Yeah.
And people can have their own space around the place. And it's a whole more relaxed atmosphere.
Yeah. It was wonderful, It was a good meal. Everyone got a good meal. There was, as you say, there was plenty of space, so people could have their own space. You was there with clothes as well, wasn't you?
Yeah.
And then we set up in a corner. It was just, it blew my mind. I think that was the thing. It was the contrast of where we were, and then all of those people in dire need in an area like that, which just proves that it's across the board, isn't it? This homelessness.
Yeah. Well, I was homeless myself in that area about 15 years ago.
Right.
And it is interesting. But we need to reach out to individuals and keep individuals strong.
Yeah.
It's like, and I can't do much because I'm knackered. My back, I've got 5 prolapse discs.
Right.
So what I can do is pass on my little bit of positivity.
Yeah.
So I love helping them places.
I know.
And giving out gloves and socks, hand warmers, and anything else, coats, anything we can get our hands on. It makes a hell of a difference. So
tell me about you, Mark. What, because I'm always interested in people's motivations, and like, take me back to like your younger life.
My younger me. I'm not sure if you guess I'm from Liverpool.
I'm shocked.
I hide it well.
He's scally.
Oh, mate, you do not know how much of a scally I used to be when I was a
scally.
I was telling someone the other day, but when I got my first bed sit, this is testimony here, and I wanted a Bible because I was studying the Bible at age 17. I was really into my Bible. And I went to a church and I stole a Bible. And I didn't even see the irony of it because I was a little scally. It was like, I want a Bible. Then they've got them and they're not using them. I want to use it, so I'm having it.
Yeah, I know. That's brilliant.
I always said I'll go back and replace the Bible. I got myself into photography.
Right.
And I had my own little business, freelance photographer in Liverpool, doing events, weddings and bar mitzvahs. And then I got a driving ban, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I couldn't work as a photographer. So I decided to go back to college for a year.
Right.
And I did arts development management and moved over into video.
Right.
They had a video editing suite. And at the end of that year at college, a job came up in the Beeb for trainee cameraman.
Right.
I applied. There was 4,000 applications for 4 jobs. And lo and behold, I managed to get through it. And they took me on in 1989.
Right.
And I was a cameraman BBC for 15 years.
Really?
And best job in the world. It was so much fun, mate. Working in the television centre in London.
Yeah.
Every day, walking into the fun factory. It was brilliant.
What sort of shows was you working on?
Oh, everything. My very first show I did a camera on was Newsnight with Jeremy Paxman. And I thought, he's just sat at a desk, it'll be easy.
Yeah. And
he was. Jordan Rehearsal sat there, and then the show started, and he started doing all of this and moving around. And I was panicking, oh no! It might not seem a lot, but we used to work on Jeremy Paxman, Wogan, Top of the Pops.
Oh, God, yeah.
Lazy with Jewels, They Think It's All Over, Never Mind the Buzzcocks.
Yeah.
And then in summer, when the studios get a bit quieter, we go and do outside broadcasts.
Right.
So we get to do Formula One, Silverstone, you get to do Ascot, you go to all the races. I loved Ascot. Ascot was so good because, I'm not sure if you know, I'm a little bit of a rebel. So, because Ascot is so formal, your BBC cameras, you're there for 4 days rehearsal and everything. And I'd get the old boys coming in, excuse me, no, you can't go in there. No, excuse me. And I'd say, excuse me, BBC, access all areas, Foxtrot, Oscar. And it was like I just loved it.
Yeah.
I've had a very blessed life.
Yeah.
You know, it's been wonderful, and 15 years of good fun.
Yeah. What made you go away from that then? What finished that after 15 years?
Well, I was working on Parkinson, swinging a crane on Parkinson.
Yeah.
And they have them old dinosaur cranes. And long story short, the guy that was tracking it made a mistake, and I was swinging a crane with a man on the front of the camera, and he made a mistake. I had an accident.
Right.
I dislocated my collarbone, damaged my neck, 5 discs in my back, gone at once.
Right.
And that was the end of my BBC career.
Oh, it's a shame.
So, off work for a year, and then they decided to sack me after a year. They found them because they were getting ready to close Television Centre.
Yeah.
So they're looking reason to try and save on redundancy, and they sacked me. And I was too naive to see it coming.
Yeah.
I was very the BBC, you know, everyone's fine, and so I ended up. That's how I lost my career at BBC.
Yeah.
So,
but then you ended your career. I mean, being off work for a year, rehabilitating is really tough. I mean, only when I had my knee done, I only had 3 months, but it's hard going, isn't it? To then be. But then you've said that now I've got to ask, because you said 15 years ago you was homeless in the same area.
Yeah, well,
how did that go from that to that?
I'd lost my health.
Right.
And when I had my accident, I not only lost the ability to go to work, I could hardly work, and so I lost my. But at the end of when I was sacked at the BBC, I lost my health.
Yeah.
I'd gone from being 14 hours a day on a camera, no problem, to, oh my goodness, I'm going to walk over the road. How am I going to do this? And that messed my head up completely.
Yeah.
I'd lost my job, I'd lost my career.
Yeah.
I owned a house in West London. The marriage fell to pieces. And then one day I just walked. I ended up at the place. And then one day I did the Reggie Perrin. I just got up and just walked out the house and jumped on the train and ended up in Dorset in December.
Yeah.
I just got off a train in where was it? On the south coast. I've got a train to Dorset and got off and thinking, where am I? And it's December.
Yeah, I know.
Just before Christmas. And I just spent 10 months walking around, just walking and sleeping in doorways and anywhere I could get my head down. And it took me 10 months to get my head together to realise. Well, what got my head together was actually the next September. And I thought, I was walking in West London, and I thought, what happens next? Oh yeah, October and November. No, you can't do 2 years can't do 2 winters. No, that is stupid. You know.
Yeah.
And that's what really got my head together, because I knew I'm coming into another winter and I need to get my head together. I can't do 2 winters.
Yeah.
I got saved when I was in my first winter. Somebody took me in, and after they fed me for the week, well, they were trying to feed me, and after 5 days, me saying no to food, this woman turned around and started screaming like, Mark, you've got to eat something. I was just sat there for 5 days, shaking, shivering.
Yeah.
And I realised, looking back, that I had hypothermia, and I was so close to not being here.
Yeah.
If that person hadn't taken me in, I wouldn't be here.
No.
So that's how I first encountered homelessness.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing about it before. Actually, when I was at BBC, I used to occasionally go to the after show parties. Occasionally. I was living in Notting Hill, and I used to wait until the end of the after-show party, and I'd get the big silver sounders, and I'd get all the bits of food, the chicken and sandwiches and cakes and what have you, and I'd rack them up and I'd take them back, and there was always someone sleeping rough at Notting Hill Station.
Yeah.
There's a few guys there, and I would take them, oh, guys, I got some food here, help yourselves. And they looked at that for every part I could do it at. Because I hate seeing food go to waste.
Yeah.
And I just like to help people. So, unfortunately, I didn't realise that was a prelude into this is where you'll be soon. So, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
It's amazing, isn't it? The things that come across that mould our life, you know, that some of the worst times define, they make us who we are. And it's hard to be grateful for those bad times, but they sort of improve us in a way. You know, I'd rather not go through them, but I end up better for it at the end.
Very much so. Adversity is the best educator. Is one quote I remember. If you go through life without any problems, you don't learn anything.
No.
When you go to adversity, you learn. You know, it's a great educator. So I'm thankful for my experience.
Yeah.
Because I can honestly say that since I left the Beeb, I've done more to help people now than what I would when I ever did at the BBC. I was making chewing gum for the eyes, is what I called it. You know, and it's an irrelevance. And I always felt guilty when I was there because I wanted to make a difference to people before I joined the Beeb. And then I got there, and it was right when you're doing a show, right? Okay, and how does it affect anybody? It doesn't.
No.
All the shows I worked on, all the, you know, people I met and what have you, all the after-show parties, it counts for nothing.
No.
It was an experience. But really, it doesn't touch anybody, really. And now, since then, I've started doing charity work, set up City Harvest in 2010, started doing food redistribution.
Yeah.
Because I realised how much food was being wasted when I was sleeping rough. And I realised that we can get that food and take it to charities. So now City Harvest has got 9-10 vans, all chiller freezer vans.
Right.
It's getting a new warehouse. It's doing about 40 tons of food a week, free of charge.
Yeah.
And delivering it to charities all over London. So that was my legacy to the world.
Yeah.
So
because it's funny, we've got different stories, but there's always them similarities, you know. And the person I was 25 years ago, I wanted all these things, but I didn't realise how blessed I was because I wanted all these things, and I had so many things there that I didn't appreciate because I had a young family, I had a home, I had all these things, but I was so busy chasing this other stuff that I didn't appreciate what I had. And then it got to the point of really nearly losing it all because, you know, I had to get sober. And then 15 years ago nearly, that changed my life and everything started to change. And what I always wanted was already there. Yeah. And I nearly threw it away, you know. And I'm only, you know, I only kept it just. I've got so many friends, brothers who have lost it, you know. And that's why I'm even more grateful that I managed to keep it, you know. But it was only by a waif of Fred, you know.
Yeah, well, when you say you can't see it, is that why they call it being blind drunk?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't see it because
it is.
It blinds you to the reality already. That's where you are.
Well, you're numbing off, aren't you? And what our friends do when we see them on the street. It's really funny because I don't know if you can hear it from your end, but my kids are great. They've all kept quiet when I'm recording, but I've got this parrot that won't shut up. It does all. So if you hear phone noises, it's screaming at the phone. So
I can't hear it.
I can't make quiet. He's my parrot, but at least he's not swearing. But yeah, it's just that thing that we sometimes don't value what's there, and why do we have to go through all this to start to appreciate what we've got?
Yeah, it blinds us. I mean, life can blind us. I spent 15 years, but it's all for a reason, though. I mean, the one thing that I got off the bead, which is like now I've got a pension.
Yeah.
Which I'm because of my accident, I've got access to early, and that's going to be there for me. So that's a crutch that I've got. I don't have to rely on the, although I'm getting benefits. The large majority is my own pension, so that gets reduced off my benefits.
Yeah.
And I think having that security frees me up.
Yeah.
To know that I can do stuff. And without the BBC, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So God works in mysterious ways, Stuart. You know, it's like we all know how, why. Lord, give us a clue. What's going on? I don't understand what's going on. I know you're in there. I know you've got it. But I don't understand. I'm just trying to be still. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
But try to keep the faith and know that the Lord's in control. That is wonderful. I mean, I spoke to so many people and reintroduced them to God because a lot of people are so disillusioned.
Yeah.
And they see me walking as a little mad scally. And I'm sitting there, chat, talking raw because I do meet people where they are.
Yeah.
Have you read the book there, The Cross and the Switchblade? It's about somebody's conversion to Christianity. Some guy converted, went to prison, killed someone, and he's a bit of a bad lad. And there's one sentence that says, Lord, save me from comfortable Christians. And Christians get themselves all nice and clean, but then don't want to go back in the water to get dirty.
Yeah.
And we've got to get back in the water. It's not about saving me. You can't save people if you're trying to be too clean yourself. And I love chatting to the guys, and they go, "Listen, you all love God, don't you?" And then raising questions and having conversations, and just walking in faith.
Mm.
You know, letting people know that when they're going through the worst. I talked to some girl the other day, and she was saying we'd have a good conversation, and she'd gone through hell and punked up and metal up all over the place, lips, earrings, and it was pierced, and you could see there was rebellion in her head. And I know that when she was young, she used to go to church regularly, and she got turned off by this church. We had a good conversation about it, but well, what happened? Now, I know through my experience of churches, going to churches, there's people in there that are in it for themselves. They're nothing to do with God. Well, they all got something to do with God, but they're about self-serving, and I call them out. I mean, with myself, I love God and I love God, and that's it, Lord. I'm blessed and I'm pleased to be here. But this poor girl, she'd had a nightmare, and I was so-and-so with the mother, and I was using some fruity language. I was the effing and jeffing here and there. And the mum said, look, Christians do swear. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a real person. God understands you. Don't let them idiots who are there to save themselves put you off. The Lord's real. And she got a totally reaffirmed. We had a really good conversation. And the next day I emailed the mum and said, I'm sorry about the fruity language. And her mum, messaged me back and said, Mark, I'm so grateful. She said, my daughter locked herself away for years. She doesn't communicate with anybody. The conversations you had with you, I've never seen her have that type of conversation. And I thank God that like I can reach out to people and say, this is where you are, let's talk. And like you said, I wish there was a clue as to what we're doing. And I hope I'm on the right path. And I try and guard my heart that I am, because it's not about me. And if we can reach out and save people and let them know, that makes a hell of a difference.
The thing is, what I love is it's just your passion, because in my journey, it's a bit cliche, but in my journey doing what I've done for the last 6 years with Haircuts for Homeless, I've worked with so many different people of faith, of every faith. You know, I've worked with Muslims, Hindus, and I've worked in different sort of like Salvation Armies and all these things. And I've come across people, as you say, some are authentic, some do what they say and roll this. Like I loved it when someone said to me years ago. I always say, "God moves mountains, but you better bring a shovel."
Yeah, I like that one.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's about action. You know, you can't pontificate. You can't sit around. It's about people who do what they say. And you know, even I love chatting to people about that, because what I basically love is their passion, and if they are really doing something about it. And I've been so lucky to meet so many people. And the thing is, Mark, your power is your experience, which leads to trust. You're an authentic person. You've not studied it. You've lived it. So when you connect to people on that level, and I get a bit of that myself sometimes, they know you're telling the truth. Yeah. You know, and that's why you can do so much work. You know, and that's when you can reach out to people in those places, because some people can't. Yeah.
I mean, I had quite a bad upbringing in Liverpool, believe it or not. And I did a bit of dancing with idiots, as you do in life. And I'm blessed that I look back at them times, and I thank God that it made me the character that I am. I mean, I've been there. I've stepped into dark places. I've walked to that valley of the shadow, and I've come out the other side. And as a result, I'll step into people who've got issues, and I'll tell them straight, because people need to know that what you're saying is real. And if somebody wants to kick off, I'm there and I'm saying, look, I love you. And I'm not fussed, face, bothered face. No. You know what I mean? I'm telling this for you. And you know what I get out of it? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. You know what I want out of it? You. I want you to be better. Yeah. And I'm doing this because I care for you. I might not know you, but I care for you. You're the child of God, and you are loved. Yeah. And I'm blessed. I've been into so many head-to-head situations where it could kick off. And I'll go, yeah, okay, fine. I'm being here, not a problem. Not a problem. Yeah. And I just thank that the Lord's with me every day, and I go, yeah, I'll do it. And I'll just do it. And then the experience that we have in life, if you haven't got that experience, a lot of people can't go into them situations. They can't go to somebody who's upset or disturbed or making bad decisions because they're so exhausted because they get 2 hours sleep a night. Yeah. And therefore they're making bad decisions. And therefore the way they interact with people is not right. And because people are petrified, I've been through many situations. I thank God that He took me through them all, and I can reach out to people and I'm prepared to. Yeah. You know what I mean? I understand that people can't. Some people can't. And we're all different. We've all got different skills and different qualifications in life. And that's where the Lord brought us all to this, wherever we are now. Yeah. I'm not any better than anybody else. You reminded me of funny enough, it was in Liverpool.
I was at a project we've got in Liverpool, and it was at the wonderful Whitechapel Centre.
I know the Whitechapel Centre.
Oh.
I took them food and hand warmers and stuff up there.
Amazing people.
It's a busy place.
I was in there, and it was a bit hectic in there sometimes.
Yeah, it's a busy place. Yeah.
There was a guy in there, and I was doing the first time I went there the first time, and I'd done this big thing on Facebook. Oh, hairdressers in Liverpool, come and help me. And I went all the way up. Yeah. I think I was taking someone with me. They couldn't come. They was ill. Bottom line is, I ended up on my own. So I ended up on my own.
Yeah. In the Whitechapel, yeah.
Whitechapel Centre. They put me in a cupboard, and these blokes slaughtered me because I was a Cockney. They ruined me. They absolutely ruined me. And I got right, Phil. So I remember the train journey home was really long. I was on my own, and I was really fed up. But we went again, and we got a great team there now, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place. And but even this time we went, there was a guy in there, and he was a real pain in the backside.
Yeah,
he was a right pain, and he was making everyone feel bad. It was an extra busy session. We didn't have a lot of room, and he was going on and kicking off and going on. And I'm only human, like I'm not a saint, so I'm thinking, oh, you're getting on my nerves now, mate.
Yeah, there's a reason God gave you a middle finger.
And, anyway, I just, on the way out of that session, he was outside, and he was still kicking off, but I could listen, I could hear him then, because it was, and all he was saying was, look, I'm soaking wet. I've got no shoes. All I want is a pair of fucking trainers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And I thought, he's soaking wet. He's got no shoes. I would be angry. All he's asking for is a pair of dry shoes.
Yeah.
They gave that. It wasn't that they didn't want to give it to him. He was so angry he couldn't get out.
Couldn't articulate it.
Yeah. And this is the thing. It's what people sometimes, they see this anger and everything, but they don't see the need underneath it, do they?
Yeah. When I was at school, I had problems articulating my problems to the authorities, and it's something I'll never forgive myself for. Although it's good, because when you see people who are angry, upset, they're trying to get a message across, but people don't take the time to listen. It's easier to walk away and go, that's a crazy mad person, I'm walking away. But sometimes, every time, that person just needs someone to say, right, let's talk about this. And with my background, I'm like, yeah, let's talk. And I'll go forward and chat with them. And because of the experience I've been through in my younger days, that I'm prepared to do that. And where a lot of people don't, and that person's left to ruminate, to feel isolated, to feel negative. There's too many people that are sleeping on the streets that end up committing suicide.
Yeah.
Mental health is a killer. And of all the places, people just need someone real to reach out and touch them. And I thank God, and Lord, guide my feet every day. That I'll do that. I'll reach out to people. And like yourself say, it's just somebody who's trying to express themselves. They've had no sleep, they're tired, they haven't eaten, they're freezing cold, they're wet. And they're frustrated because they tried to speak to people and it hasn't been heard. And I would get frustrated. I'm frustrated. Somebody listen to me.
Yeah.
And we need to get dirty and get back in the water.
Yeah.
What you do is it reaches out to people, that makes that connection, and that makes a hell of a difference.
I think we're in a sort of privileged position, because the nature of what we do, we literally lay hands on people. And I think that's the secret that I've found, is that it's that touch that we break the connection. we break the barrier down just by that, that touch on the shoulder, that, that running the right, what we doing today, mate? And the minute you do it, it's a connection. And when they've got so many barriers and so much fear, you see that evaporate. You can feel it. You can feel their shoulders just slow down a bit. And I've done it. I've chanced my arm a few times, and I've had a big angry person. I've gone, shut up, give us a cuddle. And I'm going to get you one of these days. But it normally works,
Once you acknowledge people, it makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
It removes a lot of the frustration that, I'm here and I'm prepared to listen to you. Tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
Talk. I'll listen to you and find out, and I'll try and help you if I can. But like you say, a lot of people, when you're sleeping on the streets, people walk past, people get blanked all day.
Yeah.
It's like they're invisible souls sat in the wet, in a cold doorway or in the stairs or anywhere where people find themselves. My experience of homelessness, what I never realised is how much you listen when you're sleeping rough. You sit there quiet and you just listen to everything. When you try and get your head down, you find a safe speck. You spend all day walking around going, oh, that's a nice place, that's a nice place. And then eventually when you do settle down, you sit there and then you have to wait until everyone's quiet before you can relax.
Yeah.
And you sit there listening to every branch crack. That's over there, that's 10 foot away. That's a cat. Oh, that's a little fairy thing running around. I'll ignore that. And people are so fine-tuned to their environment, but nobody fine-tuned to them.
Yeah.
I had one experience when I was in Dorset. I was in a pub. I went into a pub one freezing night. I think it was 2 or 3 months after I was sleeping. We hadn't washed for 2 or 3 months. And there was this couple on the dance floor, 2 couples on the dance floor, doing the samba. And I sat there and I was watching them and I'm trying to find out how does this rhythm work? Because it's out of time with the music and the beats. And I said to them, how does this samba work? And the girl said, let me take you, I'll show you. And I had a couple of dances. I had to dance with this girl. And then afterwards, I come out to the pub and I realised I hadn't showered for 3 months. I must have stunk like to high heaven.
Yeah.
But this girl didn't mention a thing. And I realised I've just had some connection with somebody that was wonderful. That really lifted my spirits.
Oh, mate.
And it's like, you just meet people where they are.
Yeah.
It's happened to me. And prior to that, I was isolated. I remember sitting there, when I first hit the street, I had a summer shirt on. And I remember tapping the shirt and watching the whole front of the shirt moving like a piece of cardboard. And I was thinking, yeah, that's a little bit fruity.
I've had some wonderful smelly hugs in my time.
I know. It's like, listen, you are human,
Yeah.
Oh, I thank God for the sense of smell.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? I remember when I first started doing it, and you walk in somewhere, and they've all got that same smell, haven't they? If there's that sort of same, the minute you walk in, you know it, but like it's really like 10 minutes, and you've forgotten it.
Yeah.
You get what they call it, nose blind or something, but you
get advertised to it, and it's and you see the person behind it, but a lot of people don't get past that initial. It can be a barrier if people allow it to be a barrier.
Yeah.
I remember getting on a night bus in Trafalgar Square, or being, and then all the nightclubbers got on, and I was sat at the back of the bus, and I was honking. Yeah. And all these kids get on, chat, and they sat in a chair in front of me, and they sort of went, yeah. And they looked at me and I was like, yeah, whatever, get on with it. I've got other things to worry about. I knew I was like something out of the Beano. And it's life, it's reality. If people can get past that and see the humanity of the person, then that makes a hell of a difference. And it saves people. It saves people. People that are on the edge, it saves them genuinely.
And as you said earlier about the mental health aspect, I was so shocked when I first started to do the work that how many people are suffering with them. You know, like, where did the care in the community go? Because it was said to be caring. You know, they've been just left. There's people with chronic mental health conditions, and they're just left. And if it wasn't for the people in these places that we visit, they'd be completely cut off from society. And the suicide rate, as you say, it's horrendous at the moment. You know, I don't even think they're really saying numbers, but it must have increased with the situation we're in.
Oh, it has. I mean, there's been so many people since the pandemic has kicked off. People have lost their jobs, they've lost their house, they can't pay the rent.
Yeah.
Every private landlord is not a charity. They don't do it for the fun of it. They have mortgages to pay.
Yeah.
I know I go down to like Evening Soup Kitchen and Acting Homeless and into town, and you know, I speak to people at Glassdoor and people that have lost their jobs, and it's a genuine thing. It's people on the first time. But I love the way the Lord moves in it. Last year, year before last year, was it? I'd been giving out clothes and stuff in the back of my car, and I had a pair of shoes, and I was holding on to this pair of shoes for some reason. And I was like, why must I have got these shoes? I don't know. And then I went to a night out in just Kensington. And a guy followed me out to the car. I went out to get some stuff out of the car. And this guy followed me out there and said, have you got shoes? And I turned around, and this guy was a restaurateur. He'd been in the restaurant trade for years. He knew his good. He was an intellectual Eastern European guy. And I turned around and looked at his shoes, and he had a pair of classic Tom and Jerry. The top of the shoe was separated from the sole. And I said, what size are you? 10. I went, these are your size. Perfect. Thank you, Lord. Now I understand why I'm holding on to them. They're made for this guy. I was like, walking in faith is a great thing. And the guy was so happy. But again, he's someone, he had a job, he was making his money, he was paying rent, and then the job went. What's happening in the high street now it's devastating.
Yeah.
On the news last night about one of these online companies, Boohoo, quite aptly named for Boohoo, and they bought Dorothy Perkins, and they're shutting down all the fronts and all the shops. They just want the brand name. Now, there's 2,500 people I think are going to be made redundant there. That's 2,500 people who won't be getting housing. You won't be able to pay for their housing. There's families behind them that are going to be impacted by this. The amount of rent nowadays and the amount of housing benefit that people get, there's such a difference. If people can't make up that shortfall, then before long they're going to be in trouble. And unfortunately, the government's let the free market get ahead of what they're prepared to pay.
Yeah.
And these people will be in trouble. It's snowing. I look out the window now, I can see snow. And like, Lincoln, I mean, I went through it.
Yeah.
But I was a tough little bugger. You know what I mean? I grew up in Liverpool. I did my training in the Army Cadets. I did my night escaping evasions. I was a bit of an action man when I was younger, and I had a bit of experience already. One thing I remember when I was getting ready to hit the streets was over week things were not going right, but I thought I need to plan for this. I can tell I'm going to end up, something's going to happen. So I remember getting 2 boxes of matches and a tea light, no little candle. And I sat there one night, just dipping my head to the matches in the candle and getting wax and putting them back in the box. Because I knew I needed waterproof matches.
Yeah.
And getting 9 foot of cord. And I was slowly packing the bag because my head was telling me there's something going wrong, get ready. And I feel like I was being led into, I got prepared for it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people won't be. They're just, now you can't pay, will take it away.
Yeah.
When they go around in the television program where they follow the High Court officers,
yeah,
they knock on people's door and go, "We're here to repossess your house."
Yeah.
And people think, "Well, I've got a month." And no, that was the county court. We're High Court. You're going now. You've got 1 hour.
Yeah.
And people find themselves in that situation, and they haven't got a clue. No. And then when they get on the streets, the lack of sleep, because you can't go to sleep until you know it's safe, and that's when you sit and you listen.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how safe it is. You've got to make sure that there's no one there, and then you slowly get your head down, and you wake up 2 hours later, and you're so exhausted. This is why in Guantanamo Bay, they use sleep deprivation as a torture.
Of course.
And then you can't expect people to make rational decisions.
No.
You know, it's I'm blessed that I've had the experience. Otherwise, I'd have never realised it.
No.
I'd have never realised.
And as you say, it's only gonna. We're. I think we're on the cusp of quite another epidemic of homelessness, and it's got to be because of the effects of the pandemic. You know, I know it. I try and keep things upbeat as much as I can, but you've got to be realistic. You know, like the casualties, the commercial casualties are going to be the high street, but it's the knock-on effect. It isn't just a store shutting down. It's the jobs. It's the support. It's everything. Everything gets a ripple effect out. You know. But thank God that there's people out there who can, at least there is some help, you know. It doesn't come always from where it should come from, but at least, you know, I've witnessed it. There's so many people like yourself who are willing to put it on the line and keep going and helping people. Well,
people like you, what you're doing, you and the team, the wonderful people that you work with, and I'm not just brown nosing here. I mean, you have some wonderful teams that go and support people, get stuck in, and some lovely characters, and that lightens people's loads.
Yeah,
and that puts their head in a totally different place, and that can make a hell of a difference. I want to do something next after the Founders City Harvest, and I've been freed up from that. The next one that we're going to be doing is called the Social Enterprise Team.
That's it, yeah. Tell me about that, the social enterprise thing.
Well, it's there's myself and 2 others, Bruce, Mark Harvey, and my friend Patrick Recamp, and we're looking to do something to raise money. We're going commercial. We're looking for opportunities to help homeless people and people in general, so that we can give people skills. We're looking to go into training. And we're looking at several options, and we want to raise money so that we can put the money into doing something positive, ideally housing, to get people off the streets, to give that support through social housing, because people can't survive on the market value of property and the difference with the benefit rate that they get. And it affects so many people. It affects whole families and generations. So we want to create opportunities for homeless people to make money. I've got lots of experience. Bruce has got lots of experience. Patrick, luckily we've got a great team together. And we will be looking, but once we get through winter, every year in the past, I go through the year doing the food redistribution with City Harvest, and I would try and prepare for September, because that's when winter kicks in, and that's when people need, and we just try and survive, help people get through the winter. For the last 10 years, that's all I've done. Let's get ready for September. Yeah, we've got to get the hand warmers, scarves, gloves, hats, sleeping bags. And like now, I'm just trying to help people survive, get through the winter. And then hopefully the next couple of months when it gets better, then we can start concentrating on taking the social enterprise team forward. But we do intend to create opportunity for people.
Yeah.
When I got kicked out of City Harvest a couple of years ago, I spent a year studying how to sell on Amazon. I sat at home bored, and I thought, I'm going to watch these videos. So I watched the videos, I did a little bit of training online. And then I set up with a friend of mine years ago. He had the business, supplying hotels. I said, look, let's start selling on Amazon. I studied it for a year, know what I'm doing. So we said, okay. So we started doing it. The 5th of February. And I said, look, it's Valentine's Day. We've got to get online. We've got to start pushing this stuff. We're not missing out on Valentine's Day. That's a big payer. So in 3 months, we'd had, I think, £18,000 worth of sales from nothing.
Yeah.
From absolutely nothing. And then after 3 months, I said to my mate, I said, how are we going to split the profits? And his eyes went black. I thought, oh, no. I could just tell he was being a greedy little shark. And I said, you know what? Money's not my God. I don't need this. Yeah. I've just built up one business from nothing and got it robbed off me. I said, no, I'm not having this. So I just took everything offline. Yeah. But with myself, it was good to know that I can start from nothing and build something up.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll do it again. And the skills I've got, I'll pass them on to somebody else gladly and watch somebody else make loads of money.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy because I'll be busy helping somebody else. Then that person can teach somebody else.
Yeah.
They'll reach one, teach one.
It's paying it forward, isn't it?
And it's like,
yeah.
I'm living a blessed life. I mean, I'm just not out there. I've got a roof over my head.
Yeah.
I'm not going skinny in case you haven't noticed. I'm living a blessed life.
Yeah.
And the only thing I've got to fear is fear itself, and I don't have fear.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like, I know the Lord's in it. Like you say, when you go through the bad times, that's when you learn.
Yeah.
I don't mind going through bad times. I don't like it.
No.
But I know I'll survive.
Yeah.
The glory again. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing something. All the skills I've learned in the past, moving it into doing something to help people.
And you're aiming for September, so you know, like spring comes, then you spend that time building, getting ready.
Yeah, and then
you can push your initiative forward for then. Well, what we'll do, I'll put all the links on. You get the links to me. We'll put them all on, and you know, I'll be interested to watch how it grows. And if you need me, I'll be there, mate. You know, like.
Well, Stuart, listen, anything I can do, I'm happy to get my dog. If you can find some products on eBay, mate, I can make you some money. on Amazon. On Amazon, honestly, it is such a wonderful way of making coinage, and then you can do something with the money that you make.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's not, you know, it's not a bad thing. But, you know, that you need business, you need people to make money, but then it's, as you said, as long as you don't make it your God, as long as you use it in a positive way.
Yeah.
You know, without it, you've got no fuel you've got no petrol in the car. You ain't going nowhere.
Exactly.
I'm afraid it's a necessary thing.
It's a necessary evil, and and like the skills that we have got, the skills that you've got, the opportunities that you've got, the lessons that you've learned in life, the lessons that I learned in life. If we all pull together and work as a team,
this is the thing,
mate. We can do so much.
Yeah,
I mean, I can guarantee. I can talk to you privately. I know products that you can actually go for, mate, and it would make money.
Yeah.
It would make money on Amazon. And Stuart, we'll have to talk, because I know that I know myself. I know your heart. I know it's about giving. I know it's about giving. I know it's about helping other people. With you, we can work.
Yeah.
And we can make a big difference. And thank God for the opportunity to reach out and reach people and make a difference every day, Lord. I get so many blessings. I say I'm getting all these blessings because God's trying to make up for making me a minger.
Well, look, I can't think of a better way to end it on, mate. Like everything, you just said it. Everything is love.
You don't have to agree with me. I'm not a minger.
But, I can't wait to share it. And as I say, we'll put the links on for everything. And we make sure we get a message out there. And, mate, I can't wait to come back and join you, hopefully in a not too distant future. But thanks again, Mark. Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Find a way ahead of us. We'll get there.
We will.
Yeah.
See you soon, mate.
Just over 5 years ago, I did something that changed my life. What it did, more than I could have ever realised, it helped me. I have met some absolutely amazing people. Some of the people that work in some of these places, many of them are volunteers, but some of them, it is their job. This is more than a job. This is a calling.